Hey guys, it's Aaron, the home for Mobile Reviews A.ca, and today I'm going to do a review of Microsoft's Band 2. Now, I've been using the Band 2 for almost closer to 4 months now, and I'll be honest with you, I am terribly surprised at how good this product is. Now, I haven't really bought a Microsoft product since the blue screen of death debacles back in the early 2000s, which is a long time ago, so using something that is this polished and works this well coming from Microsoft, it literally blew my mind. Its unique design took a bit of getting used to, but physically it is an impressive piece of hardware. From a fitness standpoint, it's better than anything that Fitbit has, from my opinion. And from a day-to-day use perspective, it's as useful as an Apple Watch and isn't as annoying to use as Android Wear. I'll be honest with you, I use devices basically straight out of the box. I don't do a lot of customization to them, and based on that fact, I could almost swap out my Apple Watch with the Microsoft Band 2 and save myself like $150. The only place that the Band 2 really falls on its face are the lack of apps that you can install on the Band 2, and even the quality apps are actually pretty bad. Now, based on my time with the Microsoft Band 2, I've given it a score 4.1 A's out of 5. It has the same score as the Apple Watch, and it basically does better than anything that Pebble offers. From a fitness perspective, it's not as functional as the Fitbit Surge, but definitely better than the Charge HR, and I would even say better than the Fitbit Blaze. If you need more info, check out my website.
Real usage, real reviews. Mobile Reviews A.ca.
At Mobile Reviews A.ca, we base everything on actual usage. So when we get a fitness band, we'll do stuff that we don't like running and jumping jacks. I don't like jumping jacks. Physically getting this product was a story on its own. Apparently this giant software conglomerate called Microsoft couldn't figure out the difference between US and Canada in terms of shipping. I'll elaborate at the end of this video. In terms of the design, the Microsoft Band 2 actually feels like a band, a big bulky band, which takes a bit of getting used to. It does wear well, as the rubber portion of the band is very scratch resistant and seems to have the ability to heal itself. The only downside is the buckle at the bottom of the band will show wear and tear, as it's constantly in contact with whatever you're laying your hands on. The buckle also houses the UV sensor, but as you can see, it's slightly recessed and it doesn't get scratched up. The thickest part of the band isn't at the top, it's at the bottom, which is something that I really had to get used to. It makes the band feel very noticeable on my arm, especially when I'm typing. Now, despite the thickness of the buckle, it's actually one of the best parts of this device because I love how easy it is to put on and adjust. I'm glad that Microsoft didn't follow a watch band design like every other Fitbit out there. If it's too loose, you can easily make the band smaller. You can make it larger by pressing the sides, and taking it off is as simple as lifting the buckle. The Fitbit Surge, Charge, and HR, and Blaze are annoying at the gym because I end up having to adjust them quite a bit when I work out, depending on what kind of exercises and what kind of grip aids I'm using. The AMOLED display is top-notch when it comes to displaying information. It puts the blocky LEDs of the Charge HR to shame, and the e-ink screen at Pebble Times to shame. The face of the Microsoft Band 2 after my usage periods doesn't show any scratches, so I would rate it pretty high on durability. The battery will last approximately 2 days and 2 nights with maybe one workout in there. A full charge only takes an hour and a half, and so if I'm at the computer for an hour, I could easily just charge it. It's an hour and a half for a full charge. It doesn't take up a lot of battery power, especially if you're not working out. In terms of sensors, the Band 2 has sensors to count steps, flights taken, UV sensor, GPS, a heart rate sensor, and 4 other ones that I don't feel as important that I won't list out. In terms of the actual accuracy of the sensors, I'm going to speak a little bit more about that in the fitness section, which is next, but this fitness section is broken into 2 parts, the actual fitness measurement and then the fitness health data. The Band 2 is actually a really nice activity tracker. It comes with GPS, so if you're one of those people who likes to draw shapes on maps while you run, you'll feel right at home with the Band 2. I will note that the Band 2 doesn't have a lot of specific fitness tracking activity types. The Apple Watch has like half a dozen, the Fitbit Surge has way more than it actually needs to, and the Band 2 has 2 options, which are run and workout. Now this may seem like a backward step, because shouldn't you be able to compartmentalize all your workouts, but I'm assuming that Microsoft just said, screw it. A workout is a workout, yoga is a workout, elliptical is a workout, it's just measuring your heart rate. I doubt your Fitbit Surge knows exactly what you're doing with your arms at a given point in time in an exercise. So after getting past that, it was actually kind of liberating. It's just I'm not running, I'm working out. Now, the type of exercises that I do involve more supersets, interval training, and lifting weights. I don't do a lot of running. So the constant movement of my arms means that the devices don't sit in the proper place. So specifically for Fitbits, they tell you 2 fingers above the wrist bone, which is a really awkward place to wear a device. So if I'm moving my hands a lot, that means that, well, the Fitbit doesn't sit in the right place. So after I finish an exercise with a Fitbit, my heart rate is actually exactly the same as before I started, even though it could be 2 times as high. By the time my heart rate has recovered, the Fitbit will show a slight increase in heart rate, so it's really not getting the full story. I'm actually getting undercut on my exercise with any sort of Fitbit product that I've used. The Band 2 doesn't have this issue, as it seems to hedge your heart rate, so it's going to guess a little too high, I think, for my observations, but a little too high is probably better than not high at all. I guess another way to look at it is the Band 2 is a little more optimistic when it comes to your heart rate. So, for example, in this photo, on my last set of my German volume training, my Charge HR showed 69 beats per minute, while my Band 2 was 168, which is a little more believable given that I could feel my heart rate in my eyeballs. Now, this optimistic outlook on my heart rate results in higher calories burned per workout, but the overall daily caloric count isn't higher. When compared to other devices, the Band 2 didn't register as many steps, and I think it missed a couple of flights of stairs, but generally captured my heart rate a little better, as I just explained. In general, the Band 2 and Apple Watch health data were similar, whereas the Fitbit was higher than both. So based on that data, if you were counting your calories to the dot, that means that with your Fitbits, you are actually eating 20% more food than you should be. So if you're trying to lose weight, that's actually going to be very painful. But that goes back to my comment about I don't actually know how accurate all this stuff is. So, you know, it's really up to you in terms of your nutrition and the calories. Now, one of the standout marketing fluff features is the guided workouts, which from my perspective are quite useless. Now, there are several preloaded workouts that you can choose from, and you can load custom workouts, though you have to do it through the web interface. I was initially excited at the UI as it looked like Microsoft had figured out how to do rep tracking, but they didn't. You manually have to go through each exercise, which brings me to my biggest gripe about guided workouts. Anybody who has stepped foot into a gym knows that you need to be flexible with your exercises, because especially in a public gym, there are other people. Other people are a drag at the gym. So, you know, you've got people using the machine that you want to use. You can actually skip the exercises on the Band 2. So either you forego the guided workout that you started, or you wait until the guy's done, which is like, 5 to 10 minutes. And who has 5 to 10 minutes to spare at the gym? Seriously. One of the things that I noticed on the Band 2 was that the screen was always on during a workout, which made it really easy to track your timing for your exercise. The Apple Watch face only comes on when you're looking at it. The Fitbit Blaze does the same thing. It only turns on when you turn the watch face towards you, which is annoying. But the Band 2 is always on, so you don't have to deal with that small nuisance during a workout. Last thing about fitness is sleep tracking. With the battery life being a bit better than the Apple Watch, you can track your sleep with the Band 2 for at most 2 nights at a time. I can't say for sure how accurate the sleep tracking actually is, as what I felt was a restless night of sleep resulted in 92% efficiency, and if anything is 92%, I usually foresee that as really good. Forgetting to put the watch to sleep will result in a bit of night blinding, because you'll open your eyes and you'll just get blinded by the bright screen. For fitness logging, the web portion of Microsoft Health is awesome. In fact, it's way better than the dashboard that Fitbit offers, because it tries to go a little deeper into the data. It doesn't just spew out numbers that the device collects. It tries to make a bit more sense of which is important, what you're trying to do to live a slightly better life. Now, prior to starting this entire review channel, I was an information management consultant as well. I have an engineering background, so my head is always filled with how do I use data, how do I use information, the data management lifecycle and everything. And so seeing a company take fitness data just like half a step higher is really exciting to me, because it's just more useful. There's just more value and stuff like that. So that is why I like the Microsoft Health dashboard way more than anything especially Apple Health, which just blows chunks right now. And Fitbit's got lots of data there, but it's just data. There's no information there. It's just straight up numbers. And so unless you know exactly what you're looking for, you can't make sense of it. Whereas Microsoft tries to is the key word there, tries. Now, when it comes to everyday usage, the Band 2 is decent. As I mentioned earlier, it doesn't have the strength of the App Store like the Android Wear and Apple Watch does, but if you're like me who generally defaults to the basic features of a device, that won't matter. If you did want apps, you get to choose from a huge list of sports score apps or 4 non-fitness ones. Now, I'm very, very fond of the Subway app because it tells me all the 6 sandwiches. Sweet. Now, with that being said, for those who are more fitness-minded, you can actually attach your Microsoft Health account to all the large fitness players, such as MapMyFitness, MapMyRun, and all those other online players. Now, for notifications, I found the Band 2 was annoying out of the box like Android Wear is. You actually have to enable the notifications tile before you start receiving alerts, which in my opinion is a nice way of doing it, instead of having every notification spew out at you. At any given time, you can only have 8 tiles or 8 apps, which is a good and bad thing. I think it's a good thing because it really forces you to focus on what you want to see on your wrist. There is a mic on the device, but unfortunately it doesn't activate Siri if you're using the iPhone, and you can't take calls with it through the iPhone. You can see that someone's calling, but if you were to accept the call, you still have to answer on your phone. Alerts aren't that unique, as it does the same thing as all other devices. It shakes and then the screen lights up. You can dismiss notifications, view them as an afterthought through the notification tile. Now, one of the things I had to get used to was reading text off the Band 2 vertically, which is a little disorientating at first, but after a few days, you kind of just get used to it. Initially, anytime I got a notification, I would kind of try to turn my arm in a weird way, but your brain just I guess your brain is smart enough to read stuff and figure out which way the text is going. By default, the screen only activates if you press the button, but you could turn on the setting that allows you to turn on when it detects your wrist being raised. So, like any other smartwatch out there, it does that. The Band 2 has a touch screen and 2 physical buttons. Navigating through the menus is done through the screen, while selecting a menu requires the use of a button. There is a bit of color customization with the Band 2, but that's about the limits of the customization. Okay, so that was an incredibly long review. If you've actually made it to this point, kudos, because I've barely made it to this point and I'm filming it. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments section below. Oh, the story with the shipping. So I pre-ordered this. So the moment that Microsoft announced it back in like November 2015, I went and pre-ordered it. I was really excited. And so I tracked the shipment. It came to the US, I think it was somewhere in Arizona. And then it got shipped back to China and then got shipped back to Arizona. I think it made that trip twice. And then after like 2 weeks of just watching my Band 2 just do this between countries, I got a call from Microsoft saying that, oh, you pre-ordered, thanks for supporting us, but it doesn't get released in Canada till a month after. And so they refunded me my money and then made me buy it again so that I can get it in the middle of December 2015. So it was surprising to me that they would let me buy it in the first place, knowing that I gave them my credit card information that says I live in Canada. And then it took them 2 weeks for this thing. Like, it literally probably cost them more in shipping that device back and forth than it did to actually produce it, and the money they made from me actually buying it. So way to go, Microsoft. Great piece of hardware. I haven't seen a blue screen of death on it, but you still got to figure out something with your shipping. Okay, that's all I got. Questions, comment section below. Find me on Google+, Twitter, Facebook, as well as Instagram. I'm Aaron the Ho. I'm done talking. Thanks for watching.